Guilty is the result of a judicial process in which either a jury finds beyond reasonable doubt that somebody did it, or somebody admits to doing it and pleads guilty themselves. Nobody charged is guilty until somebody says they're guilty.
Somewhere in the mortgage documents, he indicated that I was his wife as opposed to his daughter. But the deed, in fact, says I am his daughter. There's a house in Virginia that I purchased that I was a co-signer with for my niece. When I signed the power of attorney, I did it electronically.
She signed a power of attorney under oath, stating that she was going to be a resident of Virginia, right? She said she signed it electronically, but it was signed with her own handwriting.
Can you identify any previous case in which the Attorney General sued under Executive Law 6312 to upset a private business transaction?
I'd like to talk to you for a few moments about something that a lot of people have heard of but may not understand exactly what it is, and that's the federal RICO statute.
So the first allegation is that the house in Queens that my father purchased almost 30 years ago, somewhere in the mortgage documents, he indicated that I was his wife as opposed to his daughter. But the deed, in fact, says I am his daughter. My father has since passed, and the house has since been sold, period. Next. There's a house in Virginia that I purchased that I was a co-signer with for my niece. My niece's children, and I wanted to have her home. And so I co-signed the home. When I signed the power of attorney, I did it electronically. I wanted my niece to basically sign for me at the closing. At the bottom of the power of attorney, it indicated that I was a resident of Virginia. Prior to that, I had indicated to the mortgage broker in caps, all caps, I am not a resident of Virginia.
You're Tish from Brooklyn.
I'm Tish from Brooklyn, period. And in the mortgage documents, it indicates whether or not you plan on being a resident of Virginia, and I marked no, no, no. But of course, those were not publicly available. The only public document that's available is the power of attorney, which was not a basis for the mortgage.
Okay, Sam Antar is a forensic accountant who initially dug up all the evidence on Tish James. Sam, the actual document that you say her lies on this podcast should be considered as an obstruction of federal investigations. Elaborate on that and how you even came across all this. Start at the beginning.
All right, first of all, let's break it down. She signed a power of attorney under oath, stating that she was going to be a resident of Virginia, right? She said she signed it electronically, but it was signed with her own handwriting. She says that declaration was at the bottom of the page, like, easy to overlook. It was in the center of the page in caps.
Right.
She says it was an accident, but her first deputy attorney general, her and another person from her office, as they were preparing for the Trump trial for mortgage fraud, that's when they signed it. It was signed about 20 or 30 days
They were all there.
the
You're saying, and I read the article that you put out about this here, they were the witnesses to the actual signing.
That is correct. Now, she says that, it wasn't, the bank didn't need it, whatever the hell it is.
Yeah.
The fact of the matter is, signing a false document to a federal lender is illegal under U.S. statute 1014, period. End of story. The lender did not have to rely upon the statement. Even if she moved in, it doesn't matter. She has to. She lied on the statement. Now, another thing that's going on with her is that she omitted any mention of her Brooklyn property during that interview.
The one that has 5 units that she has claimed all these years that has 4.
That is correct.
Yes. Okay. Talk about that, how she finagled. And obviously in both of these circumstances, she would know what she was doing is wrong. Highly, correct?
That is correct. First of all, she's a serial fraudster. Starting from 1982, she bought a house with a father-daughter, but she signed the mortgage, husband and wife. Then she buys this house in Brooklyn in 2001 and goes through 10 mortgages.
Right.
Each of them listed the property as having 4 or less units, sometimes 2 units, sometimes 3 units. Well, it's a 5-unit building. That's what the certificate of occupancy says.
She gets better rates the other way around.
That's correct.
Right.
Once you go past 4, you are commercial property.
So talk about how you even came across this here, because some people are saying that you've been unleashed to go after Tish James one way or another. Talk about how you went about finding this out. And
well, anybody that follows my Twitter feed, Sam Antar, give a plug. Anybody who follows my Twitter feed, looks at my blog, knows I've been talking about corruption for a long time.
Right.
After Crazy Eddie's, I've been working with the government for a long time as both a consultant and as a teacher. Now, I am not working for the government this time as a consultant or a teacher. I was in retirement, and I was just having fun looking at various corrupt New York City and New York State politicians. She was just another name on the list, and I fell into her. I don't give a damn about the Trump trial. I don't even give a damn about President Trump. All I care about is that she committed a crime, and she has to be held accountable for it.
How slam dunk of a case do you think this is? I think it's pretty obvious, right?
It's pretty obvious, but listen, I'm keeping an eye on her, but I'm also keeping an eye on the federal prosecutors. Federal prosecutors can indict a ham sandwich. This is a ham sandwich pretending to be kosher bologna. If they foul this up, shame on them. They're incompetent.
Okay.
May it please the court, Judith Vale for the New York Attorney General's office. All of the defendants repeatedly violated...
Ms. Vale, can you identify any previous case in which the Attorney General sued under Executive Law 6312 to upset a private business transaction that was between equally sophisticated partners, where the supposed victim had the ability and legal obligation to discover the allegedly misrepresented matters by conducting its own due diligence, where the supposed wrongdoer advised the supposed victim through written disclaimers to conduct its own due diligence and to draw its own conclusions, where the alleged misrepresentation almost entirely concerned inherently subjective valuations of properties and businesses.
Yes.
And where the victim never complained about any fraud in the transactional losses from it. Because I've gone through the cases which you've cited, and all of them always involved a consumer protection aspect. It involved protection of the market, which is what you have here. I mean, you've got 2 really sophisticated parties in which no one lost any money. And that was the point of my initial question. Every case that you cite involved where there was damage to consumers, damage to the marketplace. You've got a scheme to get unsophisticated consumers to take out home loans. You got a collapse of Lehman Brothers. You don't have anything like that here.
I think you hear underneath all these questions, the question of mission creep. Has 6312 morphed into something that it was not meant to do? And that's something you must address, because there has to be some limitation on what the Attorney General can do in interfering in these private transactions, as Justice Friedman said, that where people don't claim harm. So what is the limiting principle? I have a question that's similar to Judge Rosato's, actually, which is the immense penalty in this case is troubling. So how do you tether the amount that was assessed by Supreme Court to the harm that was caused here, where the parties left these transactions happy about how things went down?
Historical backdrop to this law, how do we draw a line, or at least put up some guardrails to know when the AG is operating well within her admittedly broad sphere of 6312, and when she is going into an area that wasn't intended for her jurisdiction?
I'd like to talk to you for a few moments about something that a lot of people have heard of but may not understand exactly what it is, and that's the federal RICO statute. The RICO statute is a very effective tool that federal prosecutors use in any cases involving quote-unquote organized crime. And that doesn't simply mean what many people think of traditionally as organized crime, meaning the mafia. The RICO statute is very effective in prosecuting gang-related crimes as well. And that's a big topic out here on Long Island. There are a lot of gangs and there's a lot of gang activity, and federal prosecutors have been prosecuting gang members under the RICO statute. if you are connected or have a loved one who is connected to one of the gangs out here on Long Island, you could quite easily find yourself entangled in a federal RICO indictment. The way that a RICO indictment is proven is the government shows that a member of a gang commits a crime to enhance or further their position within the gang. And that simply is enough to prove a RICO statute. So if you are or have a loved one who's associated with a gang, any gang activity that's committed, the government will try and prove that that improves the standing of the defendant within the gang itself, promotes his position within the gang. It doesn't have to be money, and oftentimes it's not monetary. It's simply promoting your position within the gang, and that is enough to entangle you in a RICO statute that could include everything from a conspiracy to commit a robbery to a conspiracy to commit a murder, even if you're not the one who actually committed the crime.
That's all for today. Thank you. If you want global news to keep you up to date on any new developments, please subscribe our channel and forward our content with your friends on social media and email. Thank you very much for keep supporting me. Stay safe, be blessed. Namaste.
Thank you, God bless you, and God bless America.